Okay. So can you give a brief like overview of who you are? Anything you want to share? Happy to hear.
Okay, my name is Demir. I'm living in Russia and working for one of the biggest big tech companies there, and something like that. I'm middle software engineer here, and basically I want to try myself in the DSA because the style of DSA in Russia, in Europe, and United States on the West, basically it's different. I want to try myself.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna give you a problem here, and then you can write whatever like function or something you want to. Okay, so in the first problem, you're given three things. So you're given an n, which is like the number of nodes in a tree. You're given a left child array. So as an example, let's say we have this. And a right child array. Let's say it's like this. So basically what this means is these nodes are zero indexed. And the index of the left and the right child array tells you what node is the child of that node. So for example, node 0 has a left child of 1, a right child of 2. Node 1 has a left child of -1 and a right child of -1. So -1 basically means null. And what I want you to do is, given this information, tell me if this is a valid binary tree. So in this case,
Okay, can we switch and to
yes.
drawing board? It will be easier for you and for me.
Yes. So in the drawing
Like,
board, oh yeah, do you want me to copy this in?
no, I will copy.
Okay.
1 minus 1, 3 minus 1, and 2 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. So basically, this is not 0, and it goes to like left, right.
Yes.
So 0, left to 1, right 2, and 2 to 3 in the left. Something like that.
Yes, so that's the tree, yes. So this would be a valid tree because everything's connected. There are no cycles, anything like
that. Basically, what is valid binary? What is valid tree? It's when we have one connectivity component, so there is not like forest of graphs, and basically we can so 0 might be not a root.
Yes, 0 doesn't have to be the root. In this case it is, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, so first of all, we of course can use the DSU. That's first idea to see that we have one component, and moreover, we have to check that we don't have cycles in this. So there is from 1 there is no there is no H23. So something like that. That's a bad case.
Yeah, so that would be yeah, basically that wouldn't work because in a tree, every node can only have one parent. Yeah. So that wouldn't work.
Yeah, let me think about some properties. Maybe I forgot something. Yeah, like we can start from 0 and just run a DFS. Do we need DSU? Maybe we can do it with a visited vector or array. And use it. So like nervous. we can color it maybe, but like set a color something like that. Next time we running, we encounter red. That's bad or not? Simplest way is, of course, using DSU. That's coming to mind.
Okay. So you would just like connect things that are connected or something with a DSU?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I'm making component for like the sub-tree that I started, and when I launching, I have a route that I'm passing through DSU or DFS, and if I encounter some node, I will just merge it. And in the end, I need to see that there is only one component in DSU, and moreover, I need to check for cycles.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not quite sure that this is a easy solution.
I mean, I think it'll work. I don't know if you necessarily need it, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling.
Okay.
Uh, like, what if we check that there is no cycles? And uh, like where is undo
I think you can do like Control Z or something.
on iPad?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Like we can mark that visited when we launch the. We can mark it like gray, maybe white and black. White is not visited, gray is in current DFS, and with that we will mark something like uh, with gray we will be able to find the loops, I think.
So why do you need to mark things like? I mean, I think I've heard of this, the gray, white, and black, but why do you need it for this case? Like, basically, you just need to know, um, like as I go to all my routes, did I visit the same thing twice, right? Um, so why do you need the white, gray, black? Like, why can't you just do a
Of
traversal?
course, I can check that every node has only one parent, and
Yeah, you can do
that
that too.
will, like we can say that it's directed graph,
Mm-hmm.
and should not be something like that. And in this case, it will be two parents on one node.
Yep.
That we will check that we don't have cycles, and um, but how to easily find mm, forest? Let me think.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. That's harder than I thought. Um,
So when you say forest, you just mean like multiple trees, right? Versus one.
yeah.
I see.
No, multiple trees forest.
Yeah.
Cool. So there is should be no nodes with uh, no more than two nodes with zero parents.
No more than 2 or no 2?
No more than one node.
Okay, yeah.
So in this case, there is 2 nodes with 0 parents.
In the case that I gave you?
What?
In the case that I gave you, there's only one node with 0 parents. Like in this example that I gave you, there's only one node, it's just 0, right? Everything else has a parent.
In the case you gave me,
Yeah, like in this, there's only one node with 0
in this
parents. It's
one,
just a 0.
yeah. Like this one you gave me.
Yes.
Like we need to check that no more. We need to calculate parents for each node and find that there is only one node with 0 parents and each node has only one parent. Something like that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. That will be on time and I think on memory, auxiliary memory.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, can I start?
Yeah, sure.
My hands are shaking.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if you haven't done a lot of mocks, a lot of people are nervous, so just calm down, I guess.
We need to return yes or no. Check is in binary tree and is this VS Code?
Yes.
Can
Oh, you're trying to have like
help
Vim or
me?
something?
No, I don't remember constructor without my ID, so I'll
Oh,
just
I see.
write it like that. So first of all, we need to check if child size equals right. Child size.
So you're also given an integer n, which tells you how many nodes you have in the input. If you go to line 5.
But it's good practice. What? I didn't run it. So why it's so basically for size t it equals 0 nodes count. So basically we iterate through all the nodes and what we need to do for each node we need to calculate its parents. For then we look at the node, see its childs, and then increasing parents count for its child. So
I see. Okay.
parents it equals not it left child's it parents
So if you do assert, does assert crash?
Yep.
Okay. So you probably don't want to crash, right? You want to return false if something is not right.
In production code, I would return something like that, maybe, and result will have an error, but I don't want to. It's a default. It should be default component of your production code that will contain. But for simplicity, I will just assert it.
Okay, so basically you're saying like in the production code, is it the same thing as like a Rust result where it will give you an error or a result and you can check?
Yeah, it's quite popular approach in Java, Kotlin, C++, etc.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. So so we can assume that assert, like for the case of this interview, if an assert fails, that's the same thing as returning false. Okay, that's fine.
We can return false, but you should somehow to show that it's invalid data was provided to this function. And I always think from the side of my colleague, or what I would expect from the function if someone wrote this, like if I gave it incorrect data, I'm somehow should get information that
Oh, I see.
incorrect.
So basically you're separating out invalid tree from invalid input, right? So the assert will check for invalid input. That's fine, sure.
So basically size T is unsigned. Yeah, but it's platform dependent. Sometimes it's 32 bits if you are running on 32-bit operation system and 64.
I see. So it's the same. It's the same thing as it's the same thing as Rust, like usize or whatever, where it's platform dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know Rust.
Yeah. No, I know.
But
yeah, I get it. That's fine.
We adopted memory size. So nodes count pointing to some memory in left child, right child. And I used it.
Okay.
Because of like it's most appropriate thing. So next thing I need to check const auto. Basically, we don't need index of which node we are checking. We just need to check that parents count equals 0. Then we 0 parent nodes increment. And if parents count is more than 2, then we should return 0, and then we return 0 parents nodes equals 1.
Okay. So you're basically saying that if a node has more than 2 parents, then it's false. And if there is only one node that has 1 parent, then that's true. Or 0 parents, I guess. Okay.
If it's not 1, then it's false.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, do you have to actually traverse the tree? Or is this enough to tell you?
Let me think.
Okay.
So with this approach, I will find first cycles, like it's a directed graph.
Mm-hmm.
So the contract of binary tree is violating only if there is more than 2 parents. What else we can encounter? Like what I will check, something like that. I will not write test because I can't run it.
Mm-hmm.
This is first, and basically there will be -1. So I need to hack it.
Okay.
And so left child's not count. A size at assigned size. So it's up to 2 in 33 power, something like that. We would break something. Child's left child. No. Seems like no. Yeah. And here we also should check that if left child's it not equals -1, then we should do it.
Okay.
Otherwise, there will be out of bounds. Right child's it not equals to -1. Yeah. Okay. So we have parents. It should be 0. We resize it because we are allocating new memory. I hope so.
Okay. So basically here you're doing like you're counting the parents and then you're basing that like once you get the parents, you're figuring out if you have an answer. So you're basically just checking that only one node has no parents and every node has a node can't have more than 2, right? And if that's the case, then
Yeah.
you're saying this is true. Okay, so let me open the drawing here real quick. And let me just go down here. And what would happen for this example for you? So imagine we have this. So this is the left, and this is the right. So what would happen for this example?
I knew that I forgot something.
Mm-hmm.
Like always, like it's looks like 0 to you mean like that?
Mm-hmm. And then it's basically like 2 goes to 3.
Yeah,
So this in your code would pass.
Yeah, that's why I thought about DFS.
Mm-hmm.
And we just can run DFS and look that. So basically, after this code, we have knowledge that it's not a forest,
Mhm.
that it's somehow correct, and we need to check that there is no cycles.
Mhm.
I don't understand why I forgot about this. I said about this, but
You did, yeah.
I feel like that you told me that it's incorrect. Like, fool me. Can I write it?
Yeah, yeah. So you can write. So basically, I agree with like this early part, and then basically you have to run a DFS to actually verify this.
Yep. Let me think,
Mhm.
because I think that we don't need in coloring it. We just can store like visited nodes,
Mhm.
and like it's a directed graph. And if we encounter visited node, then visit cycle.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I don't think you need the coloring.
Mm, um, let it be here. Mm,
Okay, so you'll do a stack DFS.
yep.
Okay.
Mm. Stack push. Let's say 0,
Mhm.
because that will be out of bounds, I guess. Um, like empty tree is a valid tree.
Yes.
Um, after
So you also push 0 here. Didn't you say before you don't know if 0 is the root?
oh, yep.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought that if we have a cycle, yeah, I have counter example in my head.
Mhm.
So what we can do? We can do store parents in some array or vector, and then look at its size.
Okay.
Or
I think you already have everything you need here. You just need to do one more thing.
no, I don't have.
Like you're storing the parent count already, right? In your parents.
I don't want to visit again. It will be on additional. Um,
Okay.
mm, mm, mm.
Okay, makes sense.
If I visited Yep.
Okay.
It may not have childs. Then we can push it to stack. I know it's a bit repetitive, but I don't want to rewrite my previous code.
Okay.
Stack push node stack push. So basically, we put in the stack first root, then we check, we take it, pop it, mark it as visited, then look at the left child, right child, and if left child is not, if it exists, then and it's visited, then there is a loop. We return false. The same thing with the right child. And if there is a left or right child, we just push it to the stack. And he just returns to.
Okay. Yeah, I think this makes sense. I think this would work. So let's move on to the second problem, if that works.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so for the second problem, you're given a m by n grid. So just as an example, let's say we have this. Yeah, and say it's like this. So basically what I want you to tell me is the number of increasing paths in the grid. So what I mean by an increasing path, a path has to have one or more cells in it, and it has to be strictly increasing. And you can only go up, down, left, right. So in this example, every cell by itself is a valid path. So that's 4 already. Then you also have, so I can write this down. So like 1 is a path, the other 1's a path, 3 is a path, 4 is a path. Also 1, 3 is a path. And then 1, 3, 4 is a path. And 3, 4 is a path.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
1, 4. Okay.
So basically there can be we can start from any cell and in any other cell, as I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like DP is not working or working. Basically, can we switch to drawing board?
Yep.
Basically, what we'll have.
We can delete this if you want to as well and start a new one.
Can you? Because I don't know.
Yeah. I guess Control Z doesn't work. So okay.
Can you see? So
Yeah.
basically, we have grid where we can go anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that will be a directed graph.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
And what we will need, we can actually, if it's directed graph or dynamic programming, we will need like directed graph and some mass induction. So for each cell, what we will do, we'll calculate all the paths from it, and when we encounter some cell that we have visited, it will be like some, maybe. I will think
Mm-hmm.
a little bit later about it. So basically, that's DP. We'll go something like that in all directions, and we will need to launch the DP. We can make it like recursive with minimization.
Okay.
I think that will work. And how we calculate? So what we will count in DP? For DP IG, that will be how many paths from that point are reachable.
Okay.
How many paths there will be if we start from IG?
Mm-hmm.
How to calculate for example, DP I plus 1. Do it. So basically, we will expand pass to 1. So for example, if it was 4 to IG, then I think like from it we can go anywhere. And end anywhere. And really nervous.
Okay.
So for this graph, how many paths there will be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess.
For which one? The one
Yep.
that I gave you?
No. For like 1, 2, 2, 3. There is with 3, 2, 1, 2, this one, this one, this one, this one, and to this. So 4 by plus 4 plus 2. Yeah, am I correct?
So you said there's 6 here? So every single one would be its own path, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and then there'd be like all of these too, right? So it's like 10? You said 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 10's right. Yeah.
So starting from this, we have, of course, 2 to 3. That will be for this point. 2 for this, I guess 1 for this 2, and for this we need to um, 1, 2, 3. Is it correct?
Yeah, I think it's 10. Yeah, that seems correct. Yeah. So
5
yeah,
plus 5.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah, starting from 2, there's
So
2.
it's
Starting from 1, there's yeah. I think this is correct.
I think that's sum, the sum of adjacent nodes plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we can write that dp.
Okay.
Time complexity will be like n square, because we will visit each node only once, and memory, because we're using memorization, is also n by m.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. So something like that.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Can I start?
Yeah.
How many time?
So
have
we have
left?
about 13 minutes left.
So we need to return something like that. Count all paths, and it will be vector by vector, да? Or yes?
Yeah. The
Matrix, std vector, and what will have all the numbers in this matrix is positive, or maybe
does it matter?
it affects our type.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think you can, if you want to use signed, you can use signed. If you want to use unsigned, you can use unsigned. That's fine.
So basically, if matrix is empty, we should return like 0, because there is no path.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise there will be a lot of bounds.
Yep.
Next, let me think.
Mm-hmm.
How will just I want to move it to DFS. Is it okay with this name? Because it's like implementation static function that is visible only in this translation unit.
Sure.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
So we'll pass metrics and also we will pass matrix paths and we'll modify it because and that's why it's not const. And also also I need to pass roles instead call. No, let's return because our amount of our pass can be negative.
Amount of what, sorry? Well, the value can be
Amount
negative?
of pass from the each node.
Oh.
Like we are calculating how many pass from IG starting node to any other.
Yeah. Okay. So it can't be negative, right? Like it can only be 0.
Like I said.
Okay.
So if let's actually use everywhere int.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you're basically, so this pass is like a cache, and then you're just saying if it's not -1, then return that immediately, and you'll default to -1.
Yep.
Okay, it makes sense.
Next row, I think like that. Not -2. Yes.
Okay.
And we need to calculate the result. Or on no. First of all, we need to check that next row is greater than 0. That we are not going out of bounds. And maybe we should pass the, or we can just check rows from equals matrix size. We definitely have correct matrix here, because
Mhm.
we'll call that function inside of our countable class. Less than rows, and next call greater than 0, and next call less than calls. Actually,
Okay.
okay, now we need to look if we can go there, and our at least there will be one route from this node, and something wrong with formatting. If matrix call less than matrix next call, then we can go there.
Okay.
And we make okay, then we return. So we visited every node that we can visit from this, and in the end we need to visit all cells in this matrix. GFS call matrix and plus, and we need to create resize calls. What's wrong with that? I remember that there is some function that fails, but I will do it simply.
Okay.
Stupidly. It will not affect our time complexity. So we filled it, and then we need to calculate our answer. 64 T. Let's see. Maybe we can do it already there. we return event? Yeah. There might be a garbage in the answer.
Mhm.
No, very well. Something like that. Let me check. Do I have a time?
Sure, you have a couple minutes.
Yeah, roles calls. If we visited it, if it's not -1, then we can return it. Next, we mark this node as visited and calculate answer for everything else. If it's out of bounds, then okay, we continue. If current is less than next, then we can go there, like we have done, and we just start. I think everything that we can,
Okay.
and then we sum it. We'll launch from every node, but we will visit each node only once.
Mhm.
We fill it and then return it. I don't know.
Okay. So I think let's stop here. I think we're we're a little bit over time. So how do you think you did? Like, what are the things you think you did well, and what are the things you
I did
think you need to do
really
better?
poorly.
Really poorly, you
I
think?
did really poorly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, can you be
no higher.
specific? Can you be specific about what you did poorly?
I fooled myself when you asked me questions.
Uh-huh.
I was totally aware of that we can have loops. You asked, can we only check parents? And I thought maybe we can just check parents and don't run DFS.
Mhm.
So maybe because I was a little bit nervous.
Okay. Yeah, so I think for the first one, you talked about like you figured out decent approaches. Like you figured out DSU. I think most people wouldn't come to DSU, but you definitely did like overcomplicate it, and I had to lean you in the direction of like, do we really need DSU? Um, and you actually did come up with like all the stuff you needed, but then you ended up not doing like the DFS, right? You were like, I'm gonna do the parent thing, and then I'm gonna do the DFS, and then like because it's a directed graph, I can just do a DFS, and I can just have like a visited thing. Um, and that counter example I gave you, to be fair, is quite unintuitive. Like if I looked at your code, it would be very hard for me to know the counter example unless I did the problem. So because I asked this one before, like I knew the counter example for it, but like if I just gave this to someone,
My code is not working. This one.
which one?
Right now, what I have is binary tree in the
Oh,
first task.
why is that?
You about what counterexample? About you gave me or
No, no,
right
no,
now
no,
it's
no, no, no. I think your code now is fine. I wasn't sure about the visited thing. I think it's fine. What I was saying is it wouldn't work before you did the DFS. Right? And I had to tell you that,
yeah.
and I had to give you the example. But what I was saying is, it's very
No,
hard. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I felt like I need to do the DFS, and
Uh-huh.
if you wouldn't hint me that maybe we can just stay with counting parents,
Uh-huh.
and I thought like in real life I will go DFS and just don't mind.
Uh-huh.
Like we can run it. It doesn't worsen our time complexity. Why not?
Right, right, yeah. So what I'm saying is I didn't mark you down too much for that because it's not obvious that you needed to do a DFS. Like you can argue like, yeah, DFS doesn't work time complexity, so you might as well. but it's the edge case isn't obvious here, the one that I gave you. So I think it's okay that you missed it, and I hinted you like, "Hey, you actually like what would happen here," because you kind of knew how to fix it. So the problems I think were basically like speed, obviously. And then the other thing is I do think that like if this was like a coding interview, you definitely want to like figure out what you want to do. So if I give you a function that shouldn't throw an error, you probably don't want to throw an error. So I think having things like asserts, people might be like, well, I just want you to return true or false. So if the input's wrong, just return false or something. So it's like small stuff. So that would probably be a little bit better. Like
Yeah,
I
as I
understand your
said,
production code argument. Yeah.
yeah, in real life, I will return like result,
Uh-huh.
because like it will be time consuming to implement the struct and implement all
I
the
see.
methods.
I see.
So
So honestly, it's probably reasonable to say that. I think, yeah, actually, I think it's probably reasonable. I think what you said is like in real life, I'll have a result. It will have an error or a true or false. This will be an error. I think that's probably pretty reasonable. Um, so
like
yeah,
I want to expect some contracts from the caller, and if caller violates it, what he expect from my function,
yeah,
so I need to like signal him that something is wrong, and
yes,
like it's easiest solution.
yeah. No, honestly, I think it's reasonable. I like thinking about it again. I think it's fine. Um, And you did come up with, like, all the I guess I deleted it, but you did come up with, like, all the different things you did. I did need to hint you the DFS, and then I needed to hint you, like, "Can we do something simpler than DSU?" And you kind of even thought about it. You're like, "Do I really need DSU? I'm not sure." And then I was like, "Yeah, we
No.
probably don't need it."
This year it was like my first idea, and
Mhm,
I knew that there might be some simpler solution.
mhm. Yeah, so the other thing is I think you fixed the bug you had for the negative ones. Yeah, you did. And then oh, yeah, I had one other bug here on 62, but I'd say that's kinda small, like and I haven't asked you before and you recognized it, and then you just wrote it the wrong way. So the parents count should just be greater than 1 here on 62 because, like, you
I mean,
like
I
yeah. So I think that's like a small thing, and then I think I also told you I think a lot of the things you kind of mentioned, but then you forgot. Like I think you said it yourself, like 0 doesn't always have to be the root, and then I was like, "Does 0 always have to be the root?" after you coded. So I think you basically came up with everything you needed, but you dropped a lot of it while you coded because you forgot it, if that makes sense.
um, I'm nervous. Like
That's fine,
English
yeah.
is not my best part.
Mhm.
So last week I tried to improve my English, but you can do it in 1 week.
Yeah.
And literally, I never spoke for so long with
Okay.
like English speaker.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. If we did the reverse and I had to speak in Russian, I would probably not be good at it either, you know? But honestly, I felt like your English was fine. I don't think I had a problem understanding you. Like I said, I have a lot of experience talking to people with accents because my parents are like, Ukrainian, so they have huge accents, so I'm used to that. So I don't think I had a problem like understanding anything you said really. So I thought that was part was fine. So yeah, basically on the first one I gave you a lean higher because you did get it, but I had to like correct you a decent amount. So it'd be somewhere in between of like a lean higher and like a lean no higher, where like ideally you came up with everything on your own and you wrote it on your own, and I didn't have to be like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? But it's all like small stuff that could easily be correctable. And if you're nervous and English is hard for you and stuff like that, then that can definitely be that. But I felt like overall, like your like problem solving and coding was good. Also, I think the thing you did really well compared to most people that do DSA is most people don't know their language they code the DSA in very well. So I felt like your C++ knowledge was like much higher than like the standard person that does this stuff. So that was good. Also, you weren't like, oh, I need this thing. Let me go look up how to use it and whatever. I think you were like quite good at like knowing the language because I guess you code in C++ like at your job. I'm guessing
Mostly Python.
mostly Python. Okay, okay, but you still
Like
know it enough. I think.
in software, I used to work with hundreds of petabytes of
Uh huh.
and you have to run code on tens of thousands nodes,
Hmm.
and you have to like process like tens of petabytes per day, and sometimes you write in Python because it's like research, and sometimes you write in C++. You have to be very efficient.
Oh, you're
So
talking
mostly
about
Python, but
you need like basically just like an efficient language sometimes because Python won't do the job. That's what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's also good. I would honestly have from starting to learn Rust. I think it's a good experience for someone to learn a low level language to really understand how things work. I think it's quite beneficial. A lot of people don't know it at all, so I definitely think you learn a lot, and I would recommend it. Okay. And then, yeah, I think for the second one, so you recognized really quickly what needed to happen. You were like, so this is basically a directed graph, which is correct. You can't go backwards. Then you recognize you could do DP, which is correct as well. I think some of your, if you're going to use like the whiteboard, some of your drawings could definitely be a little bit clearer, like looking back. There's a lot of like for example, your graph here is like, I don't know what that is. Like it's very hard to visualize. And I think like the handwriting and stuff is like, could definitely be improved. I think that was the hardest part that I had understanding what you were doing is like, and you had these little arrows for the graph, but once again, it was kind of like reasonably difficult to understand. So I think your talking was fine, but like the images could definitely be like a little bit better. So I usually recommend for interview format for people to just really get used to writing all their examples in the coding editor and like comments or something. Because the drawing takes a lot of time. You have to go back and forth and things like this. And so I just usually recommend, and I know sometimes you're not used to it. Like I used to do problems in Excalibur basically. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to switch to doing things in the comments because it's faster. I don't have to go back and forth, things like that. So I could definitely recommend learning how to do that. But as far as like
I
your, oh yeah,
usually don't draw. I don't write examples because I solve my tasks in my mind.
okay.
It's easier to imagine. Like my drawing is and writing is really poor.
Well, that's good. That's good. I think if you can solve it in your mind, that's good. But obviously, in an interview, like the interviewer has to understand what you're thinking. So, like, the solving
Yeah,
the
yeah,
task in
yeah.
your mind
I
is
recognize that.
impressive, but you have to be able to like say what you're doing. So, yeah. And then I think, yeah. So you
In the
basically,
second problem,
oh
I
yeah,
was really struggling with calculating DP. What will
uh-huh.
be the transition in the mass induction?
Oh, okay, yeah,
Because basically every DP is directed acyclic graph.
uh-huh.
Otherwise, it can be solved like DP and with a mass induction, like base and transition. And I struggled for a few minutes with like
Yeah.
coming up
Yeah, obviously, if it was a
with it.
cyclic graph, you would just have like an infinite DP loop. Yeah, so it makes sense. Okay, so I mean, maybe you struggled, but like you still definitely got it pretty quickly and you figured it out pretty quickly. And then I don't think I had to tell you anything for this one. I think you figured out like you asked me some stuff. You were like, can the numbers be negative? And I was like, does it matter? And then you were like, yeah, well, the type matters. So that totally makes sense. And then you figured out like what should be for an empty matrix, and you figured out the transitions. You figured out like the rows and columns and like what should be all the states. And then you used basically, I just wasn't sure what the paths things was at first, but I figured it out. And then obviously,
I
oh yeah,
wanted something shorter because I was time constrained and I didn't want to name it like uh, available
oh I
pass
see.
from this.
Oh yeah, I see. No, that's totally fine. I just wasn't. I figured it out, and like I'm not a C++ guy, so maybe there's some stuff that could be better. But once again, this was impressive that like you have everything pretty well written out and like used things that are just above. Like and you even pointed this out. You were like, okay, I'm gonna write this nested for loop. There's probably some C++ thing, but I don't know it. And you were like, man, I hate writing stuff like this because usually I know like the better stuff. So that goes to show like you once again like language understanding higher than what most people have, which is good. And then yeah, you wrote it all. I don't think I saw any problems. I mean, obviously we didn't run the code, but like I don't see any issues. Uh, so I think for the second one, I gave you like a 5 out of 5 for DSA and coding. Or for speed, definitely could do it a little bit faster, and communication 3 as well. But like you said, the language and like the drawing and all that stuff, and you solve it in your head. So I think that is an area you can improve on. But I think you said you did like 50 LeetCodes or 100 or something.
100.
Right. So for someone who did 100, I think you did very, very well. Like most people did 100 would just like fail. Like I want to say I don't know anyone that did 100 that passed so far, like a standard thing. And I think this would definitely be at least a pass. So this would be somewhere in between like a lean higher and like a solid higher. Obviously, the communication thing, I do think if you spoke to someone in Russian, you would like it would be easier for you. So I think it's impressive that you could like do all this with having the cognitive load of like this isn't my best language. I got to think of what to say, all that kind of stuff. So I definitely think this was quite good. And very
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like really, it's my first experience speaking in English because
Hmm.
mostly I spoke only in my head, and
Hmm.
I know that I do lots of mistakes in my English.
Hmm.
But mostly I watch YouTube, watch some Coursera, etc., reading,
Hmm.
and it only come up from that. And I didn't study English at all, so I don't know rules. Just speaking
Oh,
speaking
interesting.
from
So
my
you
heart in
didn't so you
English.
didn't learn I know in like when I was in Ukraine, like I learned English as like a second language. Like that was like a class. You guys didn't have that? Or you didn't have that personally?
I had, but I always had like C mark for that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you literally just watch like YouTube and Coursera and stuff. You don't really get to talk to a lot of people in English. It's mostly just from like watching stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's quite impressive to be honest. Like I felt like people in other countries that know a lot of English, like I think a lot of Europeans know a lot of English, like Germany and stuff. A lot of those guys. So I guess that is interesting that you can pick it up at this level from just watching YouTube. That's quite impressive to be honest.
I think that they speak English because there's lots of countries, small countries, and they need to communicate.
Uh huh.
And it's like the same situation in India because, as I know, there is lots of states, and each state speak its own English. And
Hmm.
because of British colony, they adopted English as their language. So most of the Indians know English because of that.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of them know English, and a lot of them know English pretty well.
But because it's only a way that they can speak between them.
Yeah, but as I said, like from talking to you and from talking to people who I talk to, who I work with, like who are native like Russian or Ukrainian, I don't think your English is worse. So yeah, I definitely think it's pretty good. Obviously, I understand, like I said, the cognitive load. Like the more things you have to think about while you do coding, the harder it is. And I definitely recommend to people like simplify as much as you can. So it's like the more thing, yeah, like basically the more things you have to think about, the more likely you are to make mistakes. But I definitely think overall this was quite good. Like I said, at least a lean higher, probably like a solid higher in my opinion. And for doing this amount of questions, this was quite solid.
It's overall solid higher or only
Yeah,
for
yeah,
second
yeah. I
one.
think overall. So like I said, I think for the first one I would give you like a 3 out of 5, and then for the second one I would give you like a four, like a 4.5 or 5 out of 5. Other than the communication, like the drawing stuff, that's like small stuff. But I think the overall problem solving and stuff was quite good.
Sorry. In the second one, I was really nervous because time constraint.
Hmm.
Wait. Okay. It, I don't know. Um, about my coding, and you said that I'm not consistent with speed. I'm not good at speed of
Hmm.
writing. Um, I try to write like I'll do it on my job. Is it good practice when you're doing DSA in like fan companies or
Is what good practice? Sorry.
uh, write like me, like
Oh,
explainable, readable code? Because if
okay.
you write like in
I
competitive
see.
style,
Yes.
it's faster.
Yes. So I think it is good to have explainable modular code because it goes like when you code, people are looking for like, can you actually code, right? So they don't want like I think for interviews, people don't want the competitive programming style, but you can definitely go overboard with like you were saying, if I have like, oh, if I have a result like optional result or error or all these like other boilerplate things, it's cool if you have it, but it will slow you down. So there's kind of like a balance. Now there are other types of interviews, and I think these are getting more popular, and LeetCode is going down a little bit, that are more practical. And I think for those, this kind of thing, I think you would do very well because it's more like, okay, here's like a real problem, and you have to write like real code, not just like solve some DSA function. And I think a lot of people struggle with those because they only know the language well enough to do the DSA, but when they do the practical stuff, they don't know it very well. Like imagine, you have to like read some file to a buffer and do some stuff and like iterate through it and whatever. Like a lot of people don't know that kind of stuff, or those types of problems. So basically, I would say it depends on the company.
Can you repeat, because there was like a connectivity problem.
Yeah, so there's like a
Yeah, just about what kind of tasks?
yeah, so there's some that are like like I have you do a problem that's like make some kind of class, right? And then in the next part, like add on to that class. So maybe bank one that I asked before that you can look up is like make a bank account with like easy stuff like deposit, withdrawal,
Okay.
whatever. And then the next part might be like, okay, handle like transactions. The next part might be like get logs, merge accounts, whatever. And I think those kinds of
Yeah,
things you would
it's
do pretty
getting
well.
popular even. It's getting popular
It's
in
getting
companies
getting more
also.
popular, yeah. Like real, like yeah, stuff like that. It's getting more popular. And I think you would do quite well at those because it seems like you can write things that are like cleaner and like more like production code, right? And so you can write something and then you can like add on to it like easier and not have one line variables. Um, so I definitely think it's not a hindrance to write things that like is good because it shows that like the language well. You think about how do I name my stuff, how do I modularize my stuff, how do I like write everything in a good way because like at the end of the day you're not applying to be a competitive programmer, right? You're applying to like a job. So there is like an expected bar of DSA knowledge, but it's not the same as competitive programming. And I do think writing things in a clean way is definitely not a bad thing. The only problem is if you overdo it with too much complexity of like this is too much like production code, and then it kind of like hurts you in time. But definitely didn't think you overdid it. Like, yeah, you had the like I said the asserts thing, but that's pretty reasonable. And you had like a namespace and like using and all that stuff, and I thought that was fine. That was like you know how to do all this stuff. You know how to write stuff that's like pretty clean, that's like readable, and whatever. And I definitely didn't think you went overboard with any of that. So I think that was fine.
Okay. Can you tell me about funk interviews? Like DSA, it's for in Google terms L4, middle levels, software engineer, and what I need to do. Like, can, can I be senior or something like that?
Okay, yeah. So as
This
far as
is-
like okay, so the way I see it, I'm not senior myself. But the way like my experience is, you need to hit a certain DSA bar, and it's pretty similar across all levels. Maybe it's a little higher for senior and things like this, but you get some problems, you have to solve the problems, and you have to like hit a bar. And I think that's the kind of interview where it's the most similar across all levels. I think the things that separate you from can I be senior is more how good are you at design? Like have you made real systems, and can you talk about design with practical things you did, not just like things you read in a book? Um, so if I say like design some system or whatever, you should be able to say things that you actually used. I think that is like a good seniority check. And then the other one is the behavioral. So they'll ask you like, what did you do? Like what were the tough problems you faced? How much like cross team collaboration do you have? What scope do you have? That also is like a very big senior signal. So like if you're applying entry level, it's like, well, I interned, I was like doing tickets or whatever. And if you're applying to like senior staff or whatever, it's like I was leading projects across multiple teams. I had to do all this kind of stuff. They lasted a long time, whatever. Does that make
I
kind of sense?
actually did this. I designed a system like big system that I designed a plan for like 3 teams for like 1 or 2 years,
Hmm.
and they are not now implementing it.
Hmm.
Implementing it, well, yeah, but it was really huge, many petabytes of data,
Yeah, exactly.
like
So
organizing
yeah,
it.
yeah. So that kind of stuff is definitely senior. It's like how many teams was it for? What was the scale? What's the usability? What's the business impact, complexity, all these things. I think those types of things are definitely like, and also how many years of experience do you have?
Too many.
Too many. Yeah. So in that case, typically here, if you're applying to mid-level, you usually have about 3 to 5. And if you have like 5 plus, then you apply to senior. Obviously, it depends on what you did at your job. There are people that work for like 8 years that get mid-level just because like they didn't do a lot. But from what you're describing, it sounds like you did a lot. So then yeah, you would definitely apply to senior, and then they would look for those things like design, things you did, can you handle big tasks, are you independent, those types of things. And the DSA is kind of like the baseline. It's like, can you code, do you know data structures, whatever, but DSA isn't going to level you like where you want to be. It's the other stuff, I feel like.
I can tell you a secret, a little secret.
Sure.
I've conducted around 100 DSA interviews in the company,
Okay.
but our tasks are much simpler, like 2 pointers or using hash map.
Yeah, so
Not the stuff.
that also depends, right? A lot of companies have very easy DSA. They look for other stuff, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
same thing here. A lot of companies will ask you easy stuff. I usually just try to ask stuff that's a little bit harder than what you will get asked at like a real company, just because then I get a good judge of like what are you good at, what are you bad at, and I'd rather you fail here and I can give you good feedback than like I give you something easy, you cruise through it, and I'm like great, and then you do the real one and then you fail. So.
Okay. Like harder tasks are more representative about candidate.
I get a better
You can get more signals from it.
yes. And you can't be like, oh, it's unfair because it's like I'm not hiring you, right? So like I think for practice, I think it's better. I think it's definitely a better signal. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me about like behavioral interview? What does it look like? 'Cause
Yeah, so basically for behavioral
I never.
interview here, it's usually around 45 minutes and it's usually with some like senior staff or whatever person. I think the people that do these things well are like people that are like significantly higher than you. And then they usually ask you things like they basically ask you a lot of questions what you did. So some things could be like, when's the last time you had a conflict at work? How did you resolve it? Or like, how are your interactions with your manager? Or like, tell me the biggest project you've done in the last whatever, like year or two. What did that involve? Like, how many teams did it have? Like specifics. And then usually when you answer these things, that like I said, they try to figure out your scope. Like, how many people did you lead? How many teams did you interact with? How difficult was your project? How long did it last? That kind of thing. So that's very good for like leveling, because they understand like, okay, at this level you're expected to do this, at this level you're expected to do this. Where are you at? And then that's like the appropriate place to put you. Like for example, let's say you're interviewing for senior staff and you're like, well, my job is just like my manager gave me tickets and I did those tickets, and that was it. You know, and then it's like, okay, well, this person probably can't like build something on their own because they're just used to getting a bunch of like things to do and they just do those things, and then they never had to like work with a bunch of teams, design a system, get a review, all these kinds of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And this interview is a prerequisite for finals, as I understand, or it's a final
That is a
with
final.
hiring
So
manager.
typically for big companies, there's like some DSA or coding or whatever, some kind of coding thing. There's a system design, and then there's a behavioral.
So only one behavioral, so only one team. You're going only for one team when you're applying. When
So
you're going through the interview.
So it
So
depends. Some companies you apply to a team, some companies you apply to the company,
okay.
and then they find a team for you later. So usually the one that you apply to the team, the people interviewing you are all from the team typically, or like very close. If you're applying to the company, like Meta, for example, you don't apply to a team, you apply to the company, and then you just have random people interviewing you all over the place, and then later on they find a team for you.
Isn't there a conflict of interest when you are interviewed by the same team? Like, if
Not
they have
really, not
some
really,
hot tasks,
because
they can hire you just to like close the gaps, and then you're really poorly like a software engineer,
uh-huh,
and you just like staying in the company. I heard about bar raiser in Amazon when
uh-huh,
someone senior do a bar raiser interview or
uh-huh.
something like that, just to raise the bar with every candidate. Right?
Yeah,
I thought that.
I haven't done the bar raiser. From what I heard, I think it's mostly a coding interview, and it's usually the one. So there's a bunch of people that like determine your level. From what I heard, the bar raiser is like the one that's the most impactful for determining your level. And it's usually like coding plus
And he's
behavioral.
not from the team that hiring you.
Yeah, so I think for
That
Amazon, you apply to a team, and then the bar raisers outside the team. I think for other companies, if you apply to a team, there could be other people outside of the team that interview you, but there will also be a lot of people inside the team. If you apply to the general
okay.
company like Meta or Google, there will basically almost be no one in the team because it's massive and there's just like random interviewers. So, but it does make sense if you're applying to a team from at least some people from the team to interview you, because it's like, do they want to work with you? You know, like, because like at the end of the day, they're hiring for their team, so they want to know, like, should we hire this person, and it's good for at least some of them to interview you. So yeah.
Okay. And do you conduct design, architecture design?
So I don't do architecture
So,
design. I did coding for my previous company. I haven't done any for this one yet. I think to be a good architecture design person, you want to be a very high like ranking person. So if someone's interviewing for senior, I'd want to be like a staff engineer on the company, because I'd want to have done like these huge things, and then I really know if you're like BSing me or whatever. I would really want to know that stuff. I don't have that experience because I'm like mid-level currently. So I do like, mock interviews for like my channel and stuff, and I have like a good idea of like what to ask, and I can pass mid-level interviews because obviously I did. But I think I think the people that are most qualified to run the design and behavioral should be one or two levels above what you're applying for, because yeah, they're just the most experienced. And I think most of those interviews are just like, show me your experience.
okay.
Also, a lot of those people actually, so like, you might have design meetings for something you're designing, and then you have people that are like uh giving you feedback, like in the actual company, not in the interview. And ideally, those people giving you feedback that are like giving you critical feedback are like pretty high ranking. So they have a lot of experience of like conducting actual design, like of actual systems, not just interviews. And I think those people would also be very good at doing the interviews because like they do the real thing on the job. So yeah.
Okay. And what is your main language? As I understand, it's Swift.
So I think this is the thing I'm pretty weak in. I know a lot of languages. I do Swift at my job. I did TypeScript at my previous job for 2 years. I'm learning Rust in like my free time. I learned Java. I interviewed in Java last year for like all the companies I interviewed for. So I know like five or six, but I don't know any of them super well. I probably, if I have to say what I know the best, like TypeScript, and then I know like, yeah, probably TypeScript Python's like the best. I'm interested in learning Rust, so ideally I'm like super good at Rust in a year or something. And then obviously, yeah, I do Swift on the job, but yeah. I actually really like Swift as well. I would think more people would adopt it. I think people don't even know you can do backend coding in Swift though. So, but I think it's actually quite good. It's like typed Python basically, and it's like pretty performant.
I tried Swift once and I didn't like it
So,
really because there is a really strange strings. Like when you're transitioning from C++, whereas strings as just array of charts, and Swift like have rooms or something like that,
oh yeah,
similar to Go.
all the new
And
languages have that. So you can do the swap to char array thing, if you want to. Like you can convert, but yes, Swift has runes. Go has runes. I think Rust has like every
I
new
was
language
like,
has that. Yeah.
that's something bullshit. I don't understand it, and I understand why they use this
Uh-huh.
like approach, because there is lots of UTF emojis, etc., and you can't count the length of strings just looking at size. But
Yes.
uh, so the last question from me: is there any like probability that I will pass faang interviews?
So I haven't seen how you do design and the other stuff, but like I think if you did the coding one, then there's a decent chance you'd pass. Yeah, especially if you prepared. Like I don't like the one you did with me was pretty good, and like I asked you stuff that's harder than the average Fang interview. So yeah, I think there's definitely a decent probability you'd pass the coding. The other stuff I haven't done, so I don't know. But yeah.
I have low self-esteem probably
Yeah,
because I
that's
thought
super
that
common.
I'm really bad compared to like you grads from US universities,
Uh-huh.
PhDs. etc.
I think that's super common. I think a lot of people have like a lot of self-doubt. I think also for me, when you first are like, oh man, what's it like to work at Google or whatever? Everyone's a super genius. Like, how can I possibly do it? Then you work at the companies and you're like, no, people are normal just like me. Like, you just study and you do well. And like, yes, obviously, like 1% of the people are super geniuses, but for the most part, people are, reasonable. Most new grads aren't, even from good universities, aren't super geniuses. Like, they don't know a lot. So, yeah, I think once you realize like, hey, I can do this kind of stuff, and you get the self-esteem, that's pretty big. Because if you have no self-esteem, then you kind of what's the not tank, but you like you basically
I
kind
heard
of
lot of rumors about Chinese students in USA,
uh-huh.
so that they are just like rocking it.
I
And
mean, I
I'm
mean,
not
maybe,
Chinese.
maybe, like I said, maybe like 1% of PhDs, but like on average, people aren't like insanely super good. So I think, yeah, if you don't have any self-esteem, then you kind of like tank your own chances. I think I watched this one thing before and I thought it was really good, where they did some interviews with a lot of tennis players and like, so do you think you could beat the best guy in the world? And a lot of them were like, oh yeah, of course. When like you look at the games and you're like, are you kidding me? You're like rank 100. But like you need to have that kind of like arrogance almost to succeed. I feel like it's better to be arrogant and fail and like improve than to be like I have no chance and never try. So yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to fake it. You can just make it, like, but you have to believe that you can make it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
for
yeah,
your
no
time
problem. Okay, cool. See you later.
here.